Good evening. My name is Matthew Freeman. I am the Undersheriff for the City and County of San Francisco Sheriff's Department. And on behalf of Sheriff Vicki Hennessy, I welcome you to the 2018 Sheriff's Department Awards Ceremony. Thank you very much for being here tonight to celebrate the professional, dedicated men and women of this department. Would you please rise for the presentation of the colors? Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing, and I would now like to invite to the stage, keeping it in the family, the daughter of one of our deputy sheriffs, Alejandra Boutron, to perform our national anthem. Alejandra, you never disappoint. That was beautiful, that was inspiring, that was emotional, and it gets me every time. Thank you so much. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and my honor to introduce and welcome to the stage the Sheriff in and for the City and County of San Francisco, Vicki Hennessy.
Thank you, Undersheriff Matt Freeman. Well, first of all, what a great crowd tonight. This is amazing. And good evening. I want to hear it back. Good evening. Thank you. This is going to be a fast-paced night of awards because we haven't done this in 4 years. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the San Francisco Sheriff's Department's award ceremony. First, events like this don't just happen by themselves. I need to thank retired Lieutenant Richard Ridgway and his crew for all the work that they put into preparing for the event. Please stand and be acknowledged. Well, Rich is already standing. How about his assistant, Deputy Nicole Smith? I wouldn't be fair if I didn't say that Chief Deputy Paul Miyamoto had a part in this as well. Chief, thank you. I want to also thank the Deputy Sheriff's Association, led by President Ken Lamba, and the Managers and Supervisors Association, led by President John Ramirez, for contributing funds to help make this evening a success. President Ramirez, President Lamba, if you're here. And how about a hand for the Sheriff's Honor Guard? I thought the way they got past this speaker was absolutely amazing. And once again, Alondra Guitaron did a great job with that national anthem. Now, to the awards. This ceremony is a time for family, friends, and loved ones to join in acknowledging the good deeds that are performed every day by the men and women of the San Francisco Sheriff's Department, including some who work alongside of us. A time to recognize that the promise of our mission statement to provide safety to everyone is not just a pledge or an empty statement, but also a reality. It is also a time for accountability. When I became sheriff a little over 2 years ago, one of my campaign promises was to hold people accountable. That promise was made with this in mind. Holding people accountable can mean making sure they take responsibility when they do not follow rules and regulations. But it also means, in the context of this evening, holding them accountable for the good deeds they accomplish. We don't get a chance to do this as often as I would like. This is the first award ceremony we have had in 4 years. But in the meantime, many of the people receiving awards here tonight have been recognized by outside organizations such as the Rotary Club, the Lions Club, and even by the late Mayor Ed Lee. Tonight we get to hold all of you accountable, especially the recipients, accountable for preventing people in our custody and sometimes out of custody from taking their own lives, accountable for responding to senseless mass shootings, accountable for responding to and spending hours assisting our neighbors to the north and securing their neighborhoods in the wake of an unprecedented firestorm, and accountable for responding off-duty to events that required their intervention. They could have kept going, but they got involved. We also get to honor some civilians who intervened to prevent serious vandalism to department property, and one who, along with the sworn employee, took persistent steps that may have saved a friend's life during a hidden or disguised medical emergency. Holding people accountable is not always fun, but tonight it's a true pleasure, and it's long overdue for the people in the program. Congratulations to all the recipients. I am proud of you and hope that you are proud of yourselves. I'm sure your family and friends are very proud. So let's get on with the ceremony. Thank you very much. So it looks like I'm the first person to present an award. So I think the way we're going to do this tonight is I'm going to ask you to hold your applause until I have read everybody's name, and then at the end of that, we can all give everybody the applause they deserve. So we're going to start with the Longevity Awards, and this is an award that is given to people who have 30 years or more of service. I'm in the or more category, and because I'm in the or more category, I wanted to do this one because I probably have the longest years of anybody. So we're going to start with civilian staff, Lanny Lee, a senior legal process clerk. Is Lanny here? Just come on up, please, as I read your name. Frederick Tizon, building and grounds supervisor. Please come up. Deputy Alan Andrews, Senior Deputy Annette Cruz Padilla, represented by her husband, Mr. Senior Deputy Annette Cruz Padilla. Deputy Ronnie Hurd, Deputy Ricardo Hernandez, Senior Deputy Albert Jang, Undersheriff Carl Kaler, Captain Jana Pecco, Deputy William Tuiasosopo, Sergeant Angie Verscher, Deputy Kenneth Washington, Sergeant Phyllis Washington, and Lieutenant Frank Winch Jr. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Pictures? The pictures are done? Okay, we're going to move on. We have a lot of people. Now, let me ask Chief Deputy Ken Ferrigno to come up. He will be presenting the North Bay Fire Mutual Aid Response Awards.
Sure. Thank you, Sheriff. We're going to play a short video with clips of our response. We're recognizing over 79 members tonight who responded to North Bay.
Overnight, as people try to flee Napa Valley, you can see embers that are flying beside the road. And those in the state of California,
There's an active fire that is burning just beyond that tree line behind me. You can see the columns of thick black smoke.
Thank you to Deputy Ron Malabed. Is he here tonight? And he put that together. So I want to thank everybody who responded to the firestorm. The October firestorm was a tragedy of epic proportions. In Sonoma County alone, 23 people died and over 8,400 structures were burned. My family and I moved to Santa Rosa 23 years ago, and we moved in an area called Coffee Park. Coffee Park was devastated by the firestorm. On the night of the firestorm, I was awoken by my son, Kenny, who was a Santa Rosa police officer. He was called into service, and he told me that there were hundreds of fires throughout Santa Rosa. All officers have been called to duty. I stepped outside of my house after receiving the phone call from my son, and I was in awe of Mother Nature. The hot winds whipping through my neighborhood and the embers flying through the night were cause for alarm. I was scared. I looked to the east and I saw a city on fire. My hometown, places I knew, restaurants I frequented, stores I went to, neighbors I dined with, homes burning. My son texted me a little bit later and told me that the fire had jumped the 101 freeway and was marching towards our neighborhood. It was my job to evacuate my family. I took my wife and my daughter-in-law and all our belongings that we thought we should grab, and we headed west out into the night, not knowing if we would ever return to our home. We were fortunate. Later in the day, we found out that both my home and my son's home had survived the fire. Many of my close friends and my neighbors were not so fortunate. Their lives and their life's plans have been dramatically altered forever. Their lives will never be the same. They've lost loved ones, property, and you just can't replace the memorabilia that they've lost. Sonoma County community is a strong one, and we will come together and survive. Eventually, we will recover. Fortunately, San Francisco Sheriff's Department answered the call that day and the weeks following. From October 9th through October 18th, the department deployed more than 200 staff members for over 20 operational periods. Sheriff's Department staff were deployed to communities like Geyserville, Kenwood, Glen Ellen, Windsor, and Santa Rosa. Department missions included manning evacuation control points, traffic control, general law enforcement patrol duties, and life-saving activities. I would like to personally thank all of you who responded to the call. Many of you are here tonight, and for living up to the law enforcement code of ethics. This was my hometown, my neighborhood. I can't thank you enough. Thank you to the sheriff and the command staff for supporting the missions. It was difficult. God bless you and all your families, and God bless the San Francisco Sheriff's Department. I feel very fortunate to have worked here. Thank you. So if you're in the program and you're recognized as being a responder for the North Bay Mutual Aid, can you please come up to the stage? You're going to be presented with a ribbon. So if you're here, can you please come up to the stage and be recognized? Once again, thank you, everybody in Sonoma County. God bless you. I'd like to introduce Chief Deputy Paul Miyamoto. He's going to be giving out the life-saving awards.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I have the honor and distinction of handing out the life-saving award an award that's presented to employees of the department who are awarded this when the following elements apply. There's a life, or there's an act of saving or attempting to save a human life when the threat to the human life is of sufficient gravity that if the employee did not act, the person would either die or suffer serious or grave injury. The recipients of this award are numerous, and they do receive a plaque. So as I call the names, if you could come up to the stage to receive your award, and I will also give a summary of the act which the person committed in order to save the life. So first up, and I must be getting old because I am having some serious problems reading this stuff. There we go. All right. It's a tactical flashlight. Jackie Gordon and Captain John Apecco. On March 1st, 2014, for visiting an employee's home and insisting she accompany them to the hospital and seek treatment, thereby saving the life of a critically ill employee. Thank you. Deputy Aaron McFarland, if you're here. Deputy McFarland is receiving the award on November 14th, 2014. He performed CPR and prevented an inmate housed in the safety cell from committing suicide. So, congratulations, Deputy McFarland. Deputy Kurt Ledesma and Deputy Armando Sanchez, come on up. On December 22nd, 2014, Deputy Sanchez and Deputy Ledesma prevented a non-responsive inmate locked in his cell from committing suicide. And one thing I do want to point out, during the sheriff's tenure here, for those that we are entrusted with their custody and care, the inmates that are incarcerated, we have not had one suicide in the last 2 years. So as we go through these awards, I want to recognize that. Deputy Zaldi Roletta. On February 5th, 2015, Deputy Roletta applied an AED and performed CPR on a coach who collapsed on his child's high school field. An example of helping somebody out in the community. Congratulations. I have a number of individuals here next. Sergeant Buffy Kester, Deputy Rashawn Sanders, Deputy Roy Tumamak, Deputy Glenn Webster, Deputy Alex Wong, and Deputy Derek Ray, if you can come to the stage. All are being recognized for taking immediate action to save an inmate's life who attempted suicide in 2015. Thank you. Sergeant Jonathan Coons, Senior Deputy Brian Allen, Senior Deputy Mason Barbary, Deputy Garrett Edwards, Deputy James Hall, and Deputy Arnell Maracha, please come to the stage. All of you to be commended in 2016 for preventing the suicide of an inmate who had cut his own throat. Thank you. Deputy Ruther Alamo, Deputy Timothy Mayo, Deputy Dan Guerra, and Deputy Larry Napata. Over here. All of you are being recognized in 2016 for responding to an inmate's cell and interrupting a suicide. Larry, how are you doing? Thank you. Deputy Jonathan Singh. February 24th, 2016, for demonstrating judgment and quick thinking while working as a non-sworn cadet at SFDSA and taking actions, including calling for assistance to prevent a psychiatric patient from jumping off the 5th floor, which saved his life. Now, Deputy Singh. Lieutenant Gary Noda, Deputy Renee Bruneman, Deputy David Chan, Deputy Ann O'Donnell, and Deputy Glenn Webster, all for being recognized March 2016 for quick response to an attempted inmate suicide from hanging in high security housing. Thank you, guys. Lieutenant Chris Kroll and Deputy Andrew Martinez, if you are here. For your persistent efforts to save a life of an inmate in a safety cell by administering CPR and applying an AED. Thank you. Lieutenant Raymond Winters, I know you are here. September 2016. Off duty for saving a passenger on a commercial flight who had lost consciousness by starting CPR and applying an AED, which revived the passenger before the flight landed. Deputies Richard Balmy, Deputy Brad Philpott, and Deputy Brian Rice. For your efforts in assessing and removing a drawstring around the neck of an unresponsive inmate and preventing a suicide. Deputy Charles Gatson and Senior Deputy Mike Lee. All right. On July 2016, they noticed a man lying on the sidewalk while in a patrol unit and took the time to investigate. They found him non-responsive, called 911, performed CPR, and revived the individual. Congratulations. Sergeant James Gomez, Sergeant Doug Novak, Deputy Rich Balmy, Deputy Rebecca Lee, and Senior Deputy Robert Taylor. Please come on up. On September 7th, 2016, they responded to an inmate on the floor of a sobering cell who had wrapped a tight t-shirt around his neck. The t-shirt was suffocating him, was removed, and the inmate was revived. Congratulations. Thank you. Deputy Daniel Espinoza. On June 2017 for responding to and preventing an inmate's suicide. Thank you. Deputy Tony Ritchie and Deputy Stephen Wang. On July 1st, 2017 for responding and preventing an inmate's suicide. Thank you. Senior Deputy, soon-to-be Sergeant George Garza. In October 2017, for observing a man while off duty in medical distress and calling 911. The man was hospitalized in ICU and his life was saved. That man actually was a retired deputy sheriff as well. Deputy Danilo Cook. Deputy Cook, in December 2017, during an airline passenger emergency, assisted with both AED and CPR application and saved the individual's life. And once again, one more hand for everybody, present and non-present. At this time, I'd like to introduce Chief Deputy Kathy Gorwood, who is here to present the commendation for both captains and chiefs.
Good evening and welcome. My name is Chief Deputy Kathy Gorwood, and I'm here to acknowledge our recipients for Captain's Commendations and Chief Deputy Commendations. A commendation is issued in the form of a letter, and it may be issued by the sheriff, the undersheriff, the assistant sheriff, a chief deputy, a captain, or their equivalent. The employees who are receiving these commendations do so because they have performed in a manner to show dedication and service beyond what is normally accepted, but not yet that rises to the level of a higher award. I will be calling out the captain's commendations first. When your name is called out, I ask that you stand. Please remain standing until all names have been called, and then we will acknowledge everybody at the end. First, Senior Deputy Mike Anderson, please stand. Deputy David Vasconcelo, Deputy Michael Lee, Deputy Eric Sims, Deputy Russell Tabayonan, Deputy Scott Osha, Sergeant Ralph Restaro. I would like to point out there's an error in the program. The next person is Senior Deputy Michael Romano, Deputy Jernation Raimundo, Deputy Scott Scoville, Senior Deputy Michael Clausel, Deputy Richard Balmy, Sergeant Philip Judson, Deputy Jose Gonzalez Jr., Deputy Austin Morris, Deputy Renee Bruneman, Deputy Gary Trubin, Deputy Ian Esip, Deputy David Ford, Lieutenant Gary Noda. There are multiple recipients, so again we have Deputy Renee Bruneman, Deputy David Chan, Deputy Ann O'Donnell, Deputy Glenn Webster, Sergeant Esmeralda Rodriguez, Deputy Kenneth Lamba, Senior Deputy Louis Ferrigno, Deputy Michael Gray, Deputy Douglas Honda, Deputy Jernation Raimundo, Deputy Kenneth Lamba, Deputy Daniel Espinoza, Deputy Brandon Sam, Senior Deputy Timothy Conway, Rehabilitation Services Coordinator Chloe Turner, Deputy Robert Kruger, Lieutenant Jamala Sanford, Deputy Brian Rice, Deputy Michael Jones, Cadet Victoria Alvarez In, Deputy Danilo Cook, Deputy Sherry Filippucci, Deputy Jason DeLeon, Deputy Michael Luce, and Cadet Angie Villalobos. Everybody, congratulations. The next recipients are those for Chief Deputy commendations. Senior Deputy Leo Lamb. Again, I ask that you stand. Deputy Juno Butler, Deputy Robin De Los Reyes, Deputy Daniel McDonald, Deputy Kevin Nakagawa, Deputy Austin Morris, Deputy Jason Tilton, Senior Deputy Michael Clausel, Deputy Douglas Honda, Deputy Brandon Cutches. Congratulations. Next, Sheriff Hennessy will be joining us for Sheriff's commendations.
Thank you, Chief Deputy Garwood. So we'll do the same drill going forward with the Sheriff's commendations. And you'll notice that sometimes people have more than one commendation, and we say their name just to recognize that, and this could happen again. So with the Sheriff's commendations, the first one is Lieutenant Raymond Winters, Sergeant Jeremy DeJesus, Senior Deputy Brian Allen, Senior Deputy Luis Castellanos, Senior Deputy Hugo Aparicio, Deputy Richard Balmy, Deputy Ronald Chu, Deputy Catherine Moore, Deputy Marielle Elliott, Deputy Charles Folger, Deputy Sean Kinnear, Deputy Sean Lee, Deputy Kenny Ng, Deputy Mike Nguyen, Deputy Isaiah Saragosa, Under Sheriff Matthew Freeman, stand. Chief of Staff Eileen Hurst, CFO Crispin Hollings as our Chief Financial Officer, Chief Deputy Al Waters, Captain Kevin McConnell, Lieutenant James Shannon, Sergeant Jeremy DeJesus, again, and Senior Deputy Luis Castellanos, again. Thank you very much. Please give them a hand. I now have the Undersheriff presenting certificates of appreciation.
Fully functional, but as Chief Miyamoto said, the eyes are starting to suffer, so thank you. We're gonna be all right. I can still hit the target. Certificate of appreciation may be merited by anyone who is not a full-time employee of the SFSD when the following elements exist: performance of outstanding services to the cause of law enforcement or corrections, outstanding contributions towards the betterment of the SFSD, demonstration of dedication, diligence, reliability, resourcefulness, and unselfish service to the SFSD and/or City and County of San Francisco. A certificate will be issued for this award. Certificate of Appreciation, June 5th, 2017. Joselita Borja, Registered Nurse. For confronting, later identifying, and completing a citizen's arrest form of a suspect who was vandalizing sheriff staff vehicles in the Hall of Justice area. And I just want to tell you that our registered nurses, our behavioral health personnel, and all of the clinicians that work with us in the county jail are fantastic people. They do wonderful work, and we're very proud and honored to have them working with us in our jails. Certificate of Merit will be awarded to any full-time employee of the SFSD when the following elements exist: significant contributions towards the betterment of the SFSD, possession of personal traits such as leadership, mature judgment, reliability, and excellence in performance. Possession of personal traits such as leadership, mature judgment, embodiment of the highest standards of professional conduct in the performance of duties, the receipt of 3 or more accommodations within a 2-year period received from any combination of the sheriff, undersheriff, assistant sheriff, chief deputy, captain, and/or civilian equivalent. Certificate of Merit, December 2nd, 2017. Senior Deputy Mason Barbary. While on vacation for subduing a man who was suspected of battery on an airline employee at Chicago's Midway Airport. June 12th, 2016, Deputy Richard Baume. For receiving 3 or more accommodations within a 2-year period. Good work. November 30th, 2017, Lieutenant Jamala Sanford. For your management, professionalism, dependability, dedication to excellence, planning, and community service during the 4-year tenure with the Central Records Unit. Fantastic. Certificate of Outstanding Service will be merited by any full-time employee of the SFSD when the following elements exist. Demonstration of outstanding bravery in the performance of duty under circumstances not within the provisions provided for in the Medal of Valor. A certificate and a ribbon will be issued with this award. Certificate of Outstanding Service, February 8th, 2016, Deputy Scott Osha. For your heroic actions off duty and in your personal vehicle, you saw a brutal domestic violence attack on a pregnant woman. As you rescued the woman, the angry assailant started attacking your passenger until you drew your weapon. You drove to a safe location and secured medical attention for the woman's injuries. Certificate of Outstanding Service, February 11th, 2016, Deputy Ronald Rosado. Your quick, heroic actions off duty in San Francisco, you saw a man carrying a semi-automatic gun threaten to kill some people. You called 911, tracked the man's movements, and flagged down an SFPD sergeant. As the suspect crouched between two cars, you pointed him out to the sergeant who detained the suspect. The suspect no longer had the gun, but you located it. I would now invite back to the stage for the presentation of the Medal of Valor, Sheriff Vicki Hennessy.
It's my honor to present the Bronze Medal of Valor. The Bronze Medal of Valor is for full-time employees of the San Francisco Sheriff's Department and is the third highest award for valor that will be merited when the following elements exist. Outstanding bravery above and beyond that expected in the line of duty, where a failure to take such action would not justify censure and or where the objective is of sufficient importance to justify the risk. Bronze Medal of Valor, February 10th, 2015, presented to Sergeant Kevin Hoyer. Sergeant Hoyer is not here tonight. For your heroic actions off duty, while stopped on the Antioch Bridge, you heard there was a man with a gun and a knife. You cautiously advanced, located the man on the outside railing, and began talking to him. Seeing that he had no weapons, you realized he was suicidal. Along with other law enforcement officers, you formed a human rescue chain, grabbing the man as he let go and pulling him back over the railing. You risked your life to save another. Sergeant Kevin Hoyer. Bronze Medal of Valor, February 9th, 2016, Deputy Kevin Quinn. For your courageous, quick actions, while at Pacifica Beach, you learned that a wave had swept 2 people out into the ocean. With no first responders on the scene, you got your boogie board and fins and swam with another bystander to the female victim who could not swim to shore due to the undertow. You succeeded in saving her, but unfortunately, her husband could not be found. Bronze Medal of Valor. Thank you. Bronze Medal of Valor, June 17, 2017, for IP Sergeant Joel Jones, retired. You may have read about this in the newspaper. Sergeant Jones, for your heroic actions while traveling on Highway 80, while following a truck that hit multiple vehicles between Highways 50 and 80 until the vehicle was disabled. A CHP officer arrived on the scene. The suspect got out of his truck, punched the officer, and continued punching and stomping her while she was on the ground. You stopped your vehicle, engaged the suspect, hitting him so hard he landed on the ground, and then wrestled with him to keep him down. A bystander joined you and kept the suspect down until other CHP officers arrived. Thank you so much, Officer Jones. It's now my honor to be able to present the Silver Medal of Valor. For full-time employees of the SFSD, it is the second highest award for valor and will be merited when the following elements exist. Where the employee manifests outstanding bravery in the performance of his or her duty under circumstances not within the provisions required for the Gold Medal of Valor. Where failure to take such action would not justify censure. Where the employee risks his or her life with full, unquestionable knowledge of the danger involved, or where a reasonable person would assume his or her life was in great danger, where the objective is of sufficient importance to justify the risk, and or where the employee accomplished the objective or is prevented from same by circumstances beyond his or her control. Silver Medal of Valor. October 8th, 2015, Senior Deputy Michael Clausell. For your courageous, quick actions while driving on Highway 280 at night, you saw a badly damaged Jeep resting on its roof and pulled over. You checked on the Jeep's occupants and assessed that they were injured but able to exit the rear of the vehicle. You then observed a badly damaged BMW down an embankment which was engulfed in flames and had flipped back onto its wheels, settling in weeds 3 to 4 feet high. An intense brush fire burned around the BMW, concealing the whereabouts of the driver. You heard the victim, but had to travel through thick brush and around the fire to find her. When you finally located the victim, she was face up on the ground with multiple bloody injuries and paralyzed legs. The fire burned quickly toward you and the victim, while flames and smoke intensified and threatened to block your only exit. You could not move the woman by yourself, but you were able to direct others to assist you, immobilizing the victim's head with your jacket and moving her to safety. You stayed at the scene to assist, placing flares around the accident, briefing first responders, and directing traffic. Your heroic response prevented a severely injured woman from possibly burning to death. Senior Deputy Michael Clausell, thank you for your service. So I'm going to introduce Under Sheriff Matt Freeman for some closing remarks. And I just want to personally say thank you all for being here tonight. It was wonderful.
So like all good families, and we all are family, in a moment we're going to have a Wednesday night dinner together. But before we get there, what I'd like to do briefly, if you'll indulge us for a moment, could I have everyone from the Sheriff's Management Team please stand? Yes? Just want to take a brief moment to introduce the Sheriff's Management Team. Captain John Apecco, County Jail No. 1 Facility Commander. Captain Stephen Tilton, Sheriff's Patrol Unit. Captain John Ramirez, Sheriff's Bureau of Building Services. Captain Joan Scannell, Sheriff's Administration. Captain Michelle Fisher, San Francisco County Jail No. 2. Captain Jason Jackson, County Jail Number 4 Facility Commander. Crispin Hollings, the Chief Financial Officer. And folks, nothing happens without a good CFO, so thank you. Director of Communications, Nancy Crowley. Wonderful to see you here tonight, thank you. Chief Deputy Kathy Gorwood, Administration and Programs Division. Chief Deputy Kenneth Frigno, Field Operations Division. Mark Nico, Sheriff's Legal Counsel. And our Director of Programs, Alyssa Riker, who does fantastic work managing, in combination of in-custody and out-of-custody programs, well over 100 different services that we offer offenders in the San Francisco Sheriff's Department. Director Riker, thank you very much for your duty. Thank you for the management team. Thank you very much. I don't believe you can ever thank people enough when they do excellent work. So just one more time, I do want to acknowledge the awards committee. As you can imagine, Chief Deputy Paul Miyamoto, Custody Operations Division. I do want to acknowledge the awards committee one more time. As you can imagine, putting together an event like this does take a lot of work, logistics, and planning. The awards committee consisted of Chief Deputy Miyamoto, retired Lieutenant Richard Ridgway, Lieutenant Winters, Senior Deputy Vargas, Deputy Nicole Smith, and with special thanks to our Director of Communications, Nancy Crowley, for all the extensive work on tonight's program, the Assistant to the Sheriff, Ted Towett, and Lieutenant John Caramucci. They all did a lot of work to put this together, and we thank them. And we'll end by saying it's been a wonderful evening. It's always a great thing when we can come together and we can celebrate the vocation, the calling, and the profession of law enforcement. The first responders who don't run away from danger, they run towards it. Why do they do that? Because they want to save people. They want to serve their communities. They want to be the protectors. And that's a wonderful thing. From 30 years of service to this profession, to this department, to saving lives, whether it be in the jail or at the beach or on the road on the way home. You've heard it all. We have fantastic people that work here, and it's an honor to work with them daily. And I'll end by saying this. There's 58 counties in the state of California. Each of the 58 counties has an elected sheriff and a sheriff's department. And tonight, you just witnessed the #1 sheriff's department in the Golden State.